you do the weather forecast?
Yeah.
We're doing it's a local news. Just run outside, check the weather and come back in. Yeah. We're going over to you live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hello, I'm Mr. Scruff, and you join us setting up here at the Edinburgh Potterow, one of my favourite venues in Scotland, really nice acoustics. So while I sit here and laze around getting interviewed, all the crew are setting up and doing all the hard work. Well, it first started probably late 90s, where I was playing at other people's events and gradually getting greedier and greedier and going, right, I want a 2-hour set, no, I want a 3-hour set, no, I want a 4-hour set. And I was doing this at hip-hop clubs, reggae clubs, jazz nights, African, Latin nights, that kind of thing. So when my album Keep It Real was launched, I said, right, I've spent enough time playing at other people's nights and kind of feeling a little bit frustrated by the kind of musical restrictions of those nights. Not in a bad way, but kind of in I want to do more. So when I started doing my own night, which was Keep It Real, which started in June 1999, that was the start of kind of what is still continuing today. This is still Keep It Real night, but taking it on tour. So once I started doing my own night in Manchester and really getting into kind of having control over the night and going, okay, well, I've got control over the music. Now I think we can improve the sound a bit, or that lighting needs doing, or we need to get some drapes for there. Over the years and kind of touring in different venues, you just learn from experience what makes a night better. It's like, oh, that night was great, but it was too busy and there wasn't room to dance, so we're going to limit the numbers, or that venue was a bit hot, so we'll bring some fans with us. The acoustics were a bit loose in that venue, so we'll buy some drapes so we can sort that out. That venue didn't sound too good, so next time we'll hire in a sound system. So over the years, that you get more and more, I suppose, not professional or slick, but you make people's nights more enjoyable because there's less to complain about in terms of RTQHs at the bar or the toilets were horrible. We try and make sure that the evening is as comfortable for people as possible. One of the things that does happen at my nights is we sell tea, and that was just because on the rare occasion that I'd had tea at other people's nights, and generally all-nighters that I played at in the early 90s, or Northern Soul nights, basically anything that goes on past 2 or 3 in the morning, you think, oh, I could do with a brew, and when you find that you can get a cup of tea, it's a bit of a revelation, and it's the best thing ever. So I thought, well, if I'm getting excited about having a cup of tea at someone else's night, then if I do that at my night, there's going to be a certain section of the crowd who are really obsessive tea drinkers who might have had a bit too much to drink, or they're driving. Right, you can have a brew. And then when we started doing bigger venues and doing stage shows at live, traditional live venues, we thought, right, we need to start doing some visuals now. So in the early days, it was very crude. It was just like a half-hour DVD loop of the kind of visuals that I had on my website, and it was all right. But then people started saying, "You're just doing a half-hour DVD loop," you know what I mean? So that then progressed into quite a very low-key kind of black and white kind of visual style, which is based on the cartoon style, which I'd already established probably back in the 80s when I was a teenager. Visuals, and over the years, it's kind of become a very integral part of the night, but very importantly, not too in your face. If you want people to stay still and watch something, give them seats and put them in the cinema. I wanted to kind of have a little bit of that because, I'm not like a sort of Norman Cook or someone who's like that on stage taking his top off and kind of getting all rock and roll. I'm a geeky, balding bloke who likes playing records and might bob his head a bit if you're lucky. So it was nice to have something to add to the atmosphere and kind of bring a little bit of that, the humour and the cheekiness and the friendly aspect of my illustrations, simply because it helps build the atmosphere and gets people smiling, which I think is really important in a venue. For me, it's all about watching the crowd who are in tonight, seeing how they act when they come in, and it's how I kind of get them into dancing but without trying too hard, you know what I mean, and how the whole night kind of gets underway. It's quite theatrical in a way. It is, but basically it's about pulling people in, and then you connect records together the same way you'd join records together in a sentence. And as you probably gathered from my very rambling sentences that I'm saying now, I'm not going to any particular destination, but it's making a point at the end of it. It's basically, it's putting, you kind of, once you get people on board at the start of the night, as long as people enjoy themselves on the way, it's a very nice scenic journey, it's not kind of a practical journey of getting from A to B. It's about playing good records in the right order, but that order, there's no rules really, it's just about what you feel on the night and what works, and there's so many different ways to join records together, and that's half the fun, because certain times I'm just, a minute before a record runs out, I'm not sure what I'm going to play next. Other times I'm thinking, right, well I'm playing hip hop now, in 30 minutes time I want to be playing some soca or some up-tempo African highlife music. How do I get from there without making it seem really weird? It's just about creating your own space or your own thing that you can progress and not really have to abide by anybody else's rules as well. I kind of do what I want. I'm not particularly concerned with what other musical scenes are going on at the moment, because a lot of music that I'm inspired by is, it's been a long time since it originally came out, or, if something's good, it'll still be getting played for 20, 30 years. So, I think it's not getting that bothered about, having to have new music this week and being on trend, as a lot of annoying people say on TV at the moment. It's just about good music, and good music will last, and about learning and having fun, but not particularly about having all the latest gadgets.
Yeah, well, as new to electronic musicians and DJs ourselves as well, we've been exposed, I guess, a lot more to the possibilities, the endless possibilities of the kind of digital DJ age, and the computers and all that kind of stuff. And obviously, technology is advancing, and less people are using vinyls. What are your thoughts on where this art form seems to be going?
I think it's fine. I think what seems to have happened over the last few years is it's always been like, vinyl versus CD or this versus that, and I think people are just, people will use whatever they're comfortable with. I mean, for me, vinyl sounds best, and I like the fact that it's kind of like you've got a record that's an end product that sounds great, and there's a limited amount of manipulating you can do when you're DJing in order to blend it together with other records, but I quite like the fact that you can't instantly pitch stuff up or down or change the key of something. You kind of have to, you're confronted with problems which you then have to deal with in a live situation, and I enjoy those challenges. I think a lot of the digital stuff obviously makes it easier to mix stuff together and get stuff in key. That's fine. I mean, I'm nearly 40 years old now. I've been DJing with vinyl for nearly 30 years. I can't be arsed moving all my stuff onto my computer. Plus I don't trust computers, if you get beer on a record, you just give it a white. If you get beer on a computer, that's the end of the night kind of thing. I've kind of got my thing and I'm comfortable with it, but I'm not like everyone should play vinyl. I personally think it sounds better, but in order to get it sound better and work in a club, you have to spend all day setting up like I do, which I know, a lot of people don't have the time or don't have a sound engineer and that kind of thing. So it's a bit of a luxury. And if you want to be lugging concrete around to make sure the vinyl doesn't jump or feedback, then if you're prepared to go to that length, it sounds amazing. If not, then you'll have records skipping everywhere and stuff. So I think, advances in technology are kind of, I think a lot of the advances in digital technology and MP3s are more to do with convenience rather than actually improving stuff.
One last question, just to round things off. Just in a sentence, do you have any advice for aspiring young DJs, producers?
I think learn where the music you're into comes from, because I think it'll uncover a few surprises and kind of spark your imagination. Do what you really enjoy. I mean, if you're a DJ, you've got to play stuff you're really into, because if you're not careful, you can get into a trap of playing what you think people want to hear, and then get booked for playing what you think people want to hear, and then never actually get to play what you love, and then getting tired of it quite quickly. So I think you've got to stick to your guns, take risks. I mean, whether that's writing music or DJing, and try stuff, get out there, make mistakes, have some rubbish gigs, I think try anything, but do it with, kind of from the heart as well. I think and put a bit of yourself in, I think if you're a DJ or a musician, you've got to really kind of show what music you're passionate about, but also put a good dollop of yourself in there, because that's the only thing which makes you unique.